The Prime Minister has backed the author K Rowling as she takes a stand against Scotland's new hate crime and Public Order Act, which comes into force today.
Yes, the Harry Potter author, who lives in Scotland, posted on X, previously Twitter, yesterday. She invited the police to arrest her for her views on transgender people. OK, however, Rishi Sunak has backed her, saying overnight people should not be criminalised for stating simple facts on biology. You should only be criminalised if you sleep rough, obviously, according to him. It seems to be a bigger crime. So joining us now in the studio to talk about this, Deputy Editor of Spike, we've got Fraser Myers on this. So, old JK, she's very defiant on this. She seems very confident as well.
Yeah, she has put out a sort of... she's laid down a marker for the police because we don't know, actually, yet whether this will be a crime under the new law. The new law is entirely subjective. It talks about... it makes it an offence to stir up hatred, which can land you with a potential 7 years in prison if you fall foul of that law. But we don't yet have a clue how the police will interpret that. And what's very scary is that based on the guidance that the police have received so far, that could include people at public performances, it could include comedians, it could very explicitly include writers. It's not just K Rowling, but Nicola Sturgeon's best mate, Val McDermid, the author, has said she's worried that some of the characters in her novels could fall foul of this law and could attract police attention.
Well, what the truth seems to be is that Scottish First Minister, Mr Hamza Youssef and whatever, he seems a very angry man. He's always angry about something. But basically, the police won't want to implement this law because they've got enough to do, but it'll be a selective law. If you want to target someone, if you want to put them away for something, you have a reason now to do it.
That's precisely the problem with such a subjective law, that it will be, you expect it will be people who are seen as, not politically favourable to the regime, I guess, which is quite worrying. And you're right about Hamza Youssef. It's actually his law. He introduced it when he was Justice Minister, and now he's overseeing it as First Minister. And, lots of people have said that he comes across as someone who's full of a bit of hate himself.
He's certainly angry. I've never seen someone so young and so prominent who... He's spitting every word out. He's got more than one chip on his shoulder, I would say.
I think that's true. I think there is also, people have started... He's warned people against making vexatious complaints about this law, but it's very hard to know what is a vexatious complaint because it's entirely subjective. And the police have said that, they will record anything that people feel is hateful.
Yes.
So even they are acknowledging that this is entirely a matter of perception.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to record. Anything that you feel is hateful, anything that your views on this, whether you're for this and you think, yeah, this is absolutely needed, or whether you're against this and you think we've got no time for this, there are more important things. K Rowling, she's saying, arrest me. That's her defiance. She dares police over this new Scottish hate crime law. But the police are only being told what to do by the politicians. So just let us know if you are Scottish. It's, listening to our voices, it doesn't affect us, but it does affect you. And let us know what you think. GBViews at GBnews.com.
I mean, this has been really criticised by the UK government, hasn't it? A source saying that the Scottish National Party was taking Scotland down a very dangerous path, potentially chilling effects on free speech. What do you make of that?
Yes, I think this absolutely will have chilling effects on free speech, precisely because people in Scotland now do not know what it is illegal to say. We do not know. At the Edinburgh Festival, for instance, that comes up, will you be allowed to make fun of Islam? Will you be allowed to make jokes about transgender issues? That is yet to be tested, and that is incredibly terrifying. Well, I'll tell you what they'll not test.
An old firm game between Celtic and Rangers and the sectarian abuse that comes from either end. Are they going to go into that crowd of 60,000, 70,000 people and make arrests on that day? I would doubt it.
Well, there was already attempts to criminalise this kind of sectarian chanting. There was the Offensive Behaviour at Football Act, which had to be repealed because it was seen as so authoritarian. That would have sent people to prison for 5 years for making sectarian chants. Again, the SNP just has an appalling track record of coming up with these crazily authoritarian laws. Thankfully, a lot of them end up in the bin, and we can hope that the same thing happens with this Hate Crime Act. I think what's ironic is that, the SNP talks about independence for Scotland. It says it's, proud of Scotland, but actually it's public enemy number one for the SNP is the Scottish people, because it thinks that they're all hateful bigots, that they need to be, they're just one moment away from committing a hate crime. They need to be told what they can and can't say, what they can and can't eat and drink as well, and things like that, how they can raise their children. So it seems to me it's also a kind of classist and elitist attack on the public, as well as being authoritarian.
Peter Satchell, the human rights campaigner, he's criticised the legislation for various things, but one of the things is third-party reporting.
Yeah.
Because if people aren't comfortable reporting it to the police, you can go to other sites, there's 400 of them, where you can register a complaint, including a sex shop, a mushroom farm and a caravan park. What's that all about?
Yeah, so this is this idea that, if you are part of a marginalised group, you might not have a good relationship with the police, but the trouble is that if you allow for anonymous reporting, anonymous snitching, then that surely just encourages vexatious complaints further. And the police have an obligation under this law, unlike other crimes. It's interesting, the Scottish police are talking about maybe they won't come to every burglary, maybe they won't come to every mugging, but under the provisions of the Hate Crime Act, they have to investigate every single report.
It's funny how they can make something obligatory if they want to.
Yes, exactly. Well, it shows the priorities of the SNP.
So your car's stolen, well, we may or may not, turn up and investigate.
But are you saying something naughty?
Oh, yeah.
And potentially, as well, what's also shocking about this law is that you could be arrested for things you say in your own home. So previous hate speech laws in the UK had a dwelling defence, because obviously it's the idea that you could stir up hatred in your own home is ridiculous. But under this new act, you could, think about conversations over the dinner table.
Children reporting their
parents. Granny says something spicy over Christmas. She's in trouble.
Yeah. What about J.K. Rowling? Will she get in trouble over this? How do you see her outburst going down? I think it's very brave of her, whether you agree with her or not, to actually put your head above the parapets and have an opinion on this.
Yeah, I think it's an incredibly brave move. I think it will be... I think if she is arrested, I think that will expose the insanity and the derangement of the law. I think, then public opinion will turn against it completely. The worrying thing is that Police Scotland have actually held events in the run-up to this bill where they used a fictionalised version of someone who's obviously J.K. Rowling, and they were talking about... is this person a hate criminal? Someone who disagrees that biological sex is, or who talks a lot about biological sex, who has a large following, is called Joanne, which happens to be Joe's real name. So there are police officers who I think are probably gearing up to arrest her, which is quite troubling. They know that would be a PR disaster, of course, but many SNP politicians have said that she has fallen foul of the letter of the law.
Look, if you're watching us, listening to us in Scotland this morning, we want to hear from you. Get in touch, just GBviews@gbnews.com.